What's going on, everybody? I am a React Andy now. That's right. So there is an entire story involving Ariel Helwani and Jamahal Hill. They're beefing. They're beefing pretty hard. I've been known as an Ariel Helwani supporter, but he is in the wrong in a lot of this. Recently, Jamahal Hill just posted a video on his main channel, but in order to understand what he's talking about, we have to understand where this all began. This began 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit more, after Jamahal Hill won the undisputed title and went on Ariel Helwani's show. And the best way to compile the information is to use MMA Guru's video, because Jamahal Hill watched that video and cited it in his eventual posting 10 hours ago. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and then we're going to go over Jamahal Hill's video. All right? You ready? As some background before I start, Jamahal Hill feels slighted by Ariel as if Ariel has been sleeping on Jamahal Hill. And let me say that what I do is a super small version of what Ariel does, okay? And I just want to say that if I give you my take on a fight, if I say that I think that, Aljo is going to beat Sean O'Malley might take that as offense. But at the end of the day, it's just a take. What am I supposed to do? Like, not talk about anybody, right? So, the alternative, I guess, is for me to just say, like, they're going to fight. Who knows what's going to happen? Anyways, that's all I have to say about that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say, like, Aljo has really good wrestling that's going to play a role, because then maybe Sean O'Malley's going to get offended that he's like, oh, you think his good wrestling is going to work on me? You know what I mean? It's not easy. It's not easy to talk about fighters without being disrespectful and without anybody taking any offense. So keep that in mind. We're talking about Ariel in this video.
Ariel Helwani, for lack of a better term, was a pathetic worm in his interview with Jamahal Hill that they had, talking about his fight at UFC 283. Now, I knew this was going to be a bit of a confrontational interview because Ariel Helwani had said some things before, talking about how Yuri Prohaska is still the best light heavyweight in the world, and obviously Jamahal Hill's not going to agree with that, and they debated that. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But he also said some things like, he wasn't really overly praising of Jamahal Hill's win. He was more just talking about, who can beat Jamahal Hill, who's better than Jamahal Hill, and he wasn't very congratulatory. And neither was I at first, but then I sort of checked myself and really digested the reality of his performance and just sort of saw the reality of the situation.
Okay. So, first of all, it is the case that the tone was needed an adjustment by Ariel Helwani. And it's possible that Ariel Helwani just doesn't like Jamahal Hill for some reason. I don't really know. Now they definitely don't like each other. But at the time, it was very much, instead of being congratulatory, it was very much the light heavyweight division is falling apart and the belt just needs to be around somebody's waist, right? It was not very much like, Jamahal Hill proven that he's the best light heavyweight in the world. It was more along the lines of like, well, John Jones left, and then Magomed and Jan Blachowicz are like the top two, but then they drew, so then now you have to put in Glover, and you got to put in. So it was very much not congratulatory on getting an undisputed belt, and it's not. Ariel did not speak in the way that you would expect somebody to speak when they're talking about somebody who for the first time broke through and got the belt wrapped around their waist. And this is how a lot of people in the community were speaking as well, because people are like, no, Yuri's really the best, but he's injured. No, Jan Blachowicz is really the best, and he actually beat Magomed. Or Magomed's really the best because he beat Jan Blachowicz, right? And people were pretty dismissive about the belt, kind of calling him a paper champ, kind of saying that he's not really the best. And because of the circumstances, I don't know that we can really knock that. I happen to think that Jamahal Hill is the best light heavyweight on the planet. Okay? But to the people that aren't impressed, or to the people that are a little bit sort of dismissive, I mean, I don't know that I can really disagree. Because while I believe that Jamahal Hill is the best light heavyweight, there are arguments against it. Not good arguments, but there's arguments against it. And so I kind of understand having that tone a little bit. But when you're Ariel and you're going to have him on later, you know what I mean? You gotta give everybody their flowers and they earn their flowers. Jamahal Hill's been working his ass off for his whole life to get this moment. And, you know, you gotta give him his flowers. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. Like, I understand people being a little bit skeptical that he's the best light heavyweight in the planet, but, like, you gotta give him his flowers.
And Jamahal Hill argues that with Ariel, and I think wins the argument against Ariel in that regard. So they disagree on that. It's not really about that. It's about something that happens later on in the interview, where I believe, because Ariel Helwani lost the verbal exchange early on with Jamahal Hill, he tried to really, really pathetically, like a worm, make Jamahal Hill seem like a bad person by bringing up Jamahal Hill talking about Dana White's whole slap situation with his other half. And I think it was a really pathetic...
Okay. Yep. We're going to have to talk about the slap. Because this video is 6 months ago, and this relates back to this video. So, in case you've been living under a rock, Dana White was filmed in an altercation with his wife in which they were arguing. She slapped him. He slapped her back. Obviously, he slapped her back harder. He's huge. There was a bunch of discourse on Twitter about it. Okay? Now, as you can imagine, nobody in the world was saying, we stand Dana White's wife. She did nothing wrong, and she just gets to do that for free, but Dana White is this big bad guy. Nobody was saying that. All right? But some people were saying, hey, Dana White's in the clear because he got slapped first. Okay? The discourse on Twitter was not around Dana White's wife, because everybody agrees that she should not have slapped him. The discourse is around Dana White, because number one, he's the one I care about. He's the CEO of the company we're here to talk about. And number two, people are somehow saying that he just gets to do it back, right? And some people were even saying self-defense, which is hilarious. Like, you know, he was actually in danger of bodily harm. So he just, you know, protects himself. Everybody say hi to my cat. But no, he wasn't in danger of bodily harm, obviously. She slapped him, and there was like a beat before he started, you know, beating up on her. And like, you know, he wasn't in danger. That's what self-defense is. You're in danger, and then you prevent the danger that's coming at you. It's not you got hit, so you get to hit him back. You know what I mean? That's a very middle school understanding of the concept of self-defense. And like, people are bringing it into adulthood, which is hilarious. But either way, imagine a world where everybody's talking about whether Dana White did anything wrong or not. And then imagine what you would say and what you would not say. Okay, now let's move on.
Thing to bring up, because Jamahal Hill was winning an argument against him and getting him on something. And I'm going to play this video, but I'm going to just say at the start of this, before I even get into it, I think Ariel is in this mindset right now where he's feeling himself too much and he needs an ego check, man. He said before his job is to promote the fighter and big up the fighter. That's all he does this for. It's not about making money off the fighters and stuff like that. This was the whole thing he was talking about during the Paddy Pimblett situation. He's here to promote the fighters and give them a platform and help out the fighters. He's the fighters guy. He's all for the fighters. It feels like recently he wants to win verbal battles with the fighters any chance he possibly can get, because he wants to be Mr. 10-8 Helwani and have another 10-8 Helwani moment. And I think he lost a verbal exchange early in this one. And that's why he went to pathetic tactics later on in this video. But let's talk.
MMA Guru is correct, in my opinion. Okay? There. I said it. I think that he's right. I think that Helwani is smarter than your average person, even, your average like MMA promoter or your average fighter, all that. And he's better spoken. And he had these moments against Paddy Pimblett, against Brendan Schaub multiple times, where he just kind of destroyed them. Like, they would come at him and say that he's doing X, Y, and Z, and, he would just run right over them. With Paddy, it was like the fighter pay kind of situation. And, like, he's even, done it to Dana White before, where, like, Dana White has some statement about him that he breaks down and shows why Dana White is, like, hypocritical and incorrect and dumb all at the same time. And everybody goes, 10-8 Helwani, 10-8 Helwani. And it's almost like, Helwani just, like, loves that to the point where he expects it every time somebody comes at him. And, like, to a certain extent, when Paddy Pimblett is so clearly in the wrong, of course I want Helwani to rip into him. When Brendan Schaub is so clearly in the wrong, of course I want Helwani to just destroy this guy. But in this situation, where he didn't give Jamahal Hill his flowers, he jumps into 10-8 Helwani mode. He starts getting aggro and trying to, spin this instead of actually thinking about whether or not he was actually in the wrong.
Talk about what the interview was about and why they had an initial disagreement. I'm going to sum it up with these few moments here. Jamahal Hill says this.
Which that was cool, but it went from that into, I think Pieters could even come up and beat him.
I never said that. I never said that.
So he said, I think that, Pereira could even go up and beat him. That's what Jamahal Hill insinuated that Ariel Helwani said. And to be fair, it kind of is what Ariel Helwani was suggesting. But Ariel says, I never said that. I never said that.
You did that shit.
Guru's accent is destroying my auto captions, by the way. In case you didn't see this, like, Guru's accent is incomprehensible to the auto-generated captions. So I apologize for any hearing impaired viewers, but my God, that's not what we're here to talk about.
And then Jamahal Hill's like, you did say that because I know you said that because I saw a clip of it, and I'm going to play that clip in a second. And then Ariel says what he really said during that moment, which was, according to Ariel Helwani.
I said there's people talk. Isn't it crazy that people said this about this guy, and now they're having the discussion? We could even have the discussion because of his size and because
Ariel's
of the story
either
of him avenging the loss of him going up. That's all. No.
So apparently Ariel actually said, which we'll check in a second, about Jamahal Hill, that isn't it crazy that people are saying that we are potentially saying that maybe now because of his size and the storyline that he could potentially go up and avenge the loss and the storyline and all this type of stuff. This is what Ariel Helwani really said.
However, the rest of the weight class and maybe even the MMA community don't necessarily think he's the baddest 85er on the planet. They say things like, oh.
This is about Pereira, of course, being the middleweight champion in relation to Jamahal Hill's performance at light heavyweight and becoming the light heavyweight champion.
Once Bo Nickel gets him, or Hamzat could even go up and get, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like he's like the least respected of the champions right now in the UFC. Yeah. However, there is a scenario where I feel like he could be a double champ.
There is a scenario where I feel like he could be a double champ. So you didn't say, based on the storyline, people were saying, and, maybe we could see the situation because he's big enough that maybe we could see the storyline of him redeeming the loss. Like, no, you...
Yeah, okay. So Ariel's just straight up not telling the truth here. But the thing is that there's nothing wrong with saying Pereira could potentially become double champ. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, what he should have said was, like, yeah, Pereira's one of the best kickboxers of all time. And you're largely a kickboxer. I know you can wrestle. But, like, I'm sorry, but it's possible. I didn't say it's likely. I just said it's possible. That's what Ariel should have said. But instead, Ariel goes, no, I didn't say that. I never said that that's possible, as, like what Guru said. But, I mean, it's not like Ariel was in the wrong for saying it's possible for Pereira to become double champ. I don't think that's likely, but is he in the wrong? Was he being disrespectful? No. Like, it's possible that Bo Nickel shows up and becomes double champ, triple champ. Okay? Does that mean that I'm disrespecting everybody at middleweight and everybody at light heavyweight. No, like, it's just, and that's what he should have said instead of saying, no, I never said that.
He said, there's a scenario where I feel like he could be a double champ. And that's what Jamahal Hill was calling him out on. But Ariel completely denies this despite saying that, but wording it in a very specific way and then linguistically spinning his way out of it during the interview. But that's not the main part of the interview that I want to get at. But I just wanted to prove that overall, early on, Jamahal Hill won the verbal exchange against Ariel Helwani, whether it was the argument as to why he's better than Jiri Prohaska, why he would beat Jiri Prohaska. He had all of the points lined up. And I think Ariel felt that in this interview, and he wanted to get Jamahal Hill back. So I'm going to skip to another moment here, which is at 16 minutes and 55 seconds. And we're going to listen to some of this.
I believe his team is built with that same grit.
You were very emotional afterwards. Why were you so emotional? I mean, obviously big moment, but it's a crazy.
Oh, yeah. It just didn't feel that big to you, huh?
Oh, stop.
And Jamahal Hill kind of goes back on him, and it's funny. Like, Jamahal Hill's having fun with it and stuff.
Yeah, I know. Stop. You said the shit. Look, you better watch what the hell you say then. Watch. You don't want me to bring it up.
No, look, bring it up. But by the way, something that feels big to you might not feel big to me, and something that feels big to me might not feel big to you.
Pause.
Stop.
Dude, Jamahal Hill's kind of funny, dude. Jamahal Hill has some funny moments.
I just said you were emotional. If maybe I wasn't, but you were emotional.
Well, I mean, what's your biggest accomplishment for what you've done?
Okay, this is unimportant.
About me, and that's what he had a problem with. Like, Jamahal Hill was saying Ariel Helwani is diminishing Jamahal Hill's greatest accomplishment in his life, and that's why he was offended by it, and that's why he's being confrontational.
But also, I have to say that something that they're all missing is that it's just Ariel's tone. The way that Ariel's coming at it. It's not anything specific that he said. It's the way that he's talking about it in a general sense. Okay? Because then Ariel's like, well, point to something that I said that's disrespectful. And then Jamahal has to say, you thought that Pereira could beat me. And it's like, okay, the problem was that Ariel's tone was dismissive. Like, the way that he was talking about it and his tone, and he was acting like this isn't the real championship belt. That's the way that he was talking. And Jamahal Hill, I guess, he watched it and he felt the tone, but he didn't know that it was the tone. He was just like, I don't like this. You're being disrespectful, and I feel it. I don't know why, but I feel it. And then he goes on to say, like, well, you were disrespectful when you said that X, Y, and Z person may be able to beat me. It's like, that's not disrespectful at all. So everybody's talking past each other here, but then we get into a big moment.
With Ariel Helwani.
In my life, like, I mean, being a parent, or you mean my job?
Your job.
I mean, just living the dream, doing my thing. I don't know. I've never won any belts.
You can do this full time and you don't have to work or do nothing else. You can do what you like to do all day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, just like when Sean Strickland the other day challenged you as a fan of what you meant to the game and shit like that. You know what I mean? You felt some type of way about that because the work that you put into this and all this and that and all that. That's the same way it was for me, bro. I've been working this whole time. I've been working for 13 years. This shit ain't new to me. Just because you can only look back and
he was talking about how, like, this is why I feel a certain type of way about this and why I think you were out of line is because you diminished the thing that I've been working towards my entire life, essentially. You know what I mean? And Ariel's trying to play like he didn't do this. Listen, I can disrespect a fighter because I will own that I disrespected them for funny moments.
Okay, no. Okay. Couple things here. The first thing is also, for example, when Alexa Grasso beats Valentina Shevchenko, everybody pops off. Everybody goes, congratulations. You beat like one of the best women of all time in fighting. But we're scared for her. Is Blanchfield going to beat her? You know what I mean? Is Talia Santos going to beat her? Is Manon going to beat her? Like, there's a lot of people that might be able to beat her. And we're like, congratulations. It's time to prove yourself even more when you fight people down the line. And that's a different tone. And that's also what Ariel should have done. Jamahal Hill, congratulations. You won the belt. Now it's time to show that you are actually the best by fighting other people down the line. Who knows? Maybe he can win. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be like the light heavyweight GOAT. You know what I mean? Like that kind of feeling of like, congratulations, but I'm not convinced you're going to beat everybody on the way up is a different feeling than like, who cares, period. And that's the feeling we got from Ariel Helwani when he was talking about it, which was, this is not real. This belt doesn't matter at all. There's no way Jamahal, like, and it's not even talking about Jamahal Hill that much. Talking about Pereira, talking about Yuri Prochazka, talking about everybody else. And, you know, you just got a vacated belt. Who cares? It, like, is different than, like, congratulations, you have the belt. Now, time to defend it. Good luck, man. I don't know if you can. Prove me wrong. Right? Oh, but then also, Ime Guru saying, I disrespect fighters, but I can own up to it. Okay, that's better than disrespecting fighters and not owning up to it, but don't disrespect fighter fans. They're people. And, like, as somebody that has, 100K subscribers, Guru gets talked about by fighters a lot. Like, he's big online.
What do you mean by that?
He should know how it feels for people that are watching you to talk smack and talk about your appearance, talk about your, like any L takes that you've had and call you stupid and stuff like that. He should know how that feels to the point at which he doesn't do it to fighters. And I do it from time to time unintentionally, and I'm trying to, get better at it. But, no excuses. You shouldn't really disrespect fighters. Unless they're bad people. Unless they're actually bad people, because bad people, it's just free game.
And emotional reaction. I'm not going to sit there and say like, no, I loved you the whole time. I really want to, and try and sort of pander to them. But this is what Ariel Helwani gets caught in this interview. And Jamahal Hill sort of like talks about that as it goes on.
Use the fact that we weren't even in the same, nothing different thing. Fucking make it fly. I'm laying down a blueprint for trying to lay one. Man.
And by the way, don't get it twisted. Me asking you why you were emotional isn't me questioning why you're emotional. I'm just trying to get you to
Look, I missed it, cuz this was me.
This is neither here nor there. But if Ariel was talking to, like, Joe Rogan, if he was talking to, like, Stipe, do you think he would have said, don't get it twisted?
Okay, Father. I'm darting off to pursue my educational prowess.
Okay, son. Don't dilly-dally. I'll be home late. It's my bridge night.
I'll see you later. Bye. Yo, what's up, B? How you feeling? What's going on? Yo, let's bounce.
I'm sorry. That went into my head and I had to say it. I don't get it twisted. DMX said that, right? Anyways.
Dressing this shit you said. I was traveling Monday. I had some things. You got a little loose with the lips with a couple of the fellas. You know what I'm saying?
It's a moment, but here it gets interesting.
Well, you're okay. So here's the thing. Let's keep it real. Can we keep it real?
That's all I know how to do.
All right.
This is where it gets pathetic from Ariel.
So you're upset at me. Okay, maybe you're not upset. You're just calling me out. You felt some sort of way about me saying this about Yuri and me saying that about Alex, apparently, all that stuff.
It's not about Yuri or Alex. It's about how they relate to Jamahal Hill. It's about Jamahal Hill's situation.
Here's the thing. And that's fine, and that's fair game. I believe it's fair game for me to say that because, hey, look, I'm doing a sports show. I'm talking about MMA. We talk about it a lot. Like, I got to be real with my opinions and feelings, too. And I think maybe somewhere deep down inside, you respect that. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, a big story over the last few weeks has been the Dana White situation. You were probably the most vocal fighter on the roster about that situation.
He tweeted about the situation. The most vocal fighter on the roster about the situation. Okay.
Right? And a lot of people... Well, let me finish. About that, did you ever hear me say, my opinions on Jamahal have changed? Jamahal shouldn't have said... Did you ever hear me say your name?
This is bananas. This is a lot, okay? So Ariel is bringing up the Dana White slap situation for essentially no reason to say that, hey, I'm not like an entire just like op against you. Like, because if I was, I would have said something bad about you when you were vulnerable, when everybody on Twitter was roasting you for your opinion. That's not how this works. You can't say I don't disrespect you because remember that one time I didn't disrespect you. You know what I mean? It's like, if you disrespect me today and then you respect me and then you disrespect me and then you respect me, I remember that as you're disrespectful. Right? It's not like a give and take back and forth. But yes, Jamahal Hill was very vocal in this situation. He tweeted and then people said stuff and he replied to randos on Twitter like all day long. So yes, this was a big moment for Jamahal Hill, but Ariel bringing it up is like weird.
At all when you were, I saw you going back and forth with a lot of people, and I'll be honest, didn't agree with a lot of your things that you said, and I could have been like, F that guy, da-da-da-da. No, I didn't say anything.
He's trying to make it out like Jamahal Hill had a bad take about the Dana White situation, and a lot of people did this. Jamahal Hill did not defend the actions of Dana White whatsoever. There's nothing for Ariel to be against. Jamahal Hill didn't, though, just condemn Dana White. He made...
Okay. Guru is wrong here. Okay. Because he's listening to just the letter of the law, exactly what Jamahal Hill tweeted and said, as opposed to, and ignoring the context and ignoring the discourse around what he said, which is very relevant. Okay, as I said earlier, everybody understands that Dana White's wife was in the wrong. We're talking about whether Dana was in the wrong, and he was, because you don't get to harm somebody because they harmed you. Right? That's not like you don't get a freebie. Okay? Obviously, she was in the wrong. Everybody knows she was in the wrong. We're talking about Dana White. Was he in the wrong? And that's what everybody's talking about. And there's random people on Twitter saying that Dana White's not in the wrong. And we're like, what are you talking about? Of course he's in the wrong. And that was the discourse. While this discourse is happening, Jamahal Hill tweets, if you don't want to get hit, then don't hit anybody. If you look at the letter of the law, if you just look at what he said, if you don't want to get hit, don't hit anyone. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at the discourse around it, it feels like he's defending Dana White. And I don't think he was. I think that that's just a principle that he grew up on. Just nobody hit anyone and nobody gets hit. Right? And so he's like, oh, this is a principle I grew up on. Let me tweet it out. But within that context, it comes across like you're saying that it's her fault that he hit her. You can't say something that is likely to be taken as wrong to like essentially millions of people and then be like surprised when everybody takes you as wrong and then get pissed at those people. You know what I mean? Like you have a certain like due diligence to make sure that you come across exactly what you're trying to come across. But that being said, I mean, like, I don't know Jamahal Hill. Okay? I don't know if he's like a bad guy that hates women or if that, like, I assume that he's not, right? But this is kind of where it started. He was dismissive about him getting the title, and that's all we really need to see as far as this video. Now we're going on to the next video, which is Jamahal Hill's...
We could use fancy words like succulent, ambrosial, or Epicurean to describe our Atlantic salmon. But the only 3 words we care about...
The salmon did look good.
What's going on, everybody? We back with another Reel Behind the Reel. Only this time, it's real. This message is for Ariel Ho Whiny. Now, Ariel and Jury got together last night and had an interview.
Now, let me just say something real quick. Anytime you make these little Donald Trump names or these Colby Covington names, Ho, Whiny, and stuff like that, I assume this is a fake beef. You know what I mean? Like, later on, Jamahal Hill says it's not. But, like, anytime somebody calls you Ho, Whiny, or, Journeyman George Masvidal or whatever, like, I assume this is a fake beef because, like, if you're actually heated with somebody, it's weird to, like, pull out a scrapbook and try to come up with some name to call them. But that is not relevant at all. I just needed to say that.
And as a lot of you already know and have seen, Ariel's dirty, sneaky tactics that he likes to use to get over on fighters. And he does this all the while being completely, man, just a punk about it and doesn't own up to any of it.
Here's another thing that has nothing to do with anything. This background is sick. Okay? I am into this background. Whoever set up Jamahal Hill with this, it's pretty fire. Plus, he has, like, shelf space for other stuff. I do like the background. I like this setup. Anyways.
Keep throwing shade at me. You have an agenda, have a problem with me for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's due to the fact of last time when I came on your show, after my championship fight, you tried your tactics on me and they didn't work. You thought that I was just another dumb fighter, somebody that you could just run circles on verbally, and it didn't work out for you. And people saw you for what you really were. And in that, you're now upset, and every chance you get, you're just taking shots at me. Like, these are just blatantly just shots. Oh, and if you care to watch and see this interview that I'm talking about, you can go. There's actually a streamer online. His name is MMA Guru. He did a breakdown of the interview. He did a very, very good job on that breakdown. Go and watch that video, and you see for yourself, and you see the things that I'm talking about. First of all, we all know Ariel.
There's also another streamer on YouTube, by the way, that you should check out. His name is Guy Vega MMA. For some reason, Jamahal Hill didn't plug me here. Maybe it's because I haven't made the video yet. But still, on TikTok, I stream. I go live on TikTok. My cat is back. And, I'm making these YouTube videos. So hit the notification bell. Hit the follow stuff. Do this. I don't care. Just anyways.
The nerdy, goofy, soft, punk dude who's admitted multiple times, I wouldn't fight. I don't think I could do it. I can dare. What if violence acts like like somebody's nana or something? Has the nerve to disrespect fighters on the show while claiming to be a real journalist that's here for the fighters, that speaks for the fighters, that's all about the fighters, that's all about this and that. And the guys that can do the thing that you can never do. Put food on your table. This is how you eat, right? Do what we do. So, this video is another example of the disrespect that we as fighters get from punks like this.
Can I ask what your reaction was when you found out about Jamahal Hill's injury?
Oh, man. That was...
Look at Yuri Prohaska, dude. Like, are you serious? This guy's... There ain't no way this guy's real. Look at this man. Like, it's too much. Like, with his hair and the beard and the unbuttoned shirt. Like, I'm like, okay, if you just told me to describe Yuri Prohaska, I'm like, oh, he's this big, just Chad man that's, like, really tough and handsome and stuff like that. But then he plays into it so much with the shirt that's buttoned down. It's like, it's a lot, man. It's a lot to take in. I gotta let my eyes adjust.
First my reaction was, man, what are you doing, man? Because I think
working out.
It happened. Doesn't matter what the reason if that, but everybody saw like he have a big weight. He's like turned to a big weight and especially for the ankles and all these areas like knees, ankles is it's.
I am lost. I am completely lost. And I've watched this a couple times already in preparation for this video. I have no idea what point Yuri's making at all. And I'm not like, I understand his English isn't great. Like, and I'm not like knocking him for it. I'm just letting you know I have no idea what he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say something along the lines of like that Jamahal Hill's been irresponsible with his health and that's why he got hurt. I think that's what he's trying to say. It's not necessarily true. Like, I saw the video. Everybody started talking about the video of like, you know, Jamahal Hill sparring with like, it was like Rob or something like that, and like Jamahal Hill looked like he had a big belly, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's out of shape" and stuff like that. Maybe that's what Yuri's talking about, but if that's the case, like, you don't know what he's doing, dude. You don't know what he's doing. You don't know why Jamahal Hill got hurt, and you don't know how much he weighs, and he doesn't look like he has a belly here. I mean, Black is slimming, but still, you know, his shirt.
For the body, it's a very big weight. Like if you're turning your weight like more than normal, then the knees and ankles, it's bad. So that was the first like logical thing about that, why it can happen.
Okay. And
famously, everybody that weighs like 10 pounds more than Jamahal Hill rolls their ankle like every couple months and is unable to fight. Like, the sheer mass of Jamahal Hill's belly was so big that like his human ankles can't handle it. Like, I don't know. I don't know. So okay, the title of the thing is Prohaska suggests that weight gain led to his injury. What are you talking about? You know that Derek Lewis trains? You know that like the biggest heavyweights in the world, like just the biggest jacked guys, like Francis Ngannou and all that, you know, they walk around, man. They exercise from time to time, and they don't really hurt their ankles, so I don't really know what that is. This is kind of weird because when we get on, we're going to start talking about how Ariel is saying that Prohaska is being like a gentleman. Prohaska is very much like, you know, being very much of a gentleman when it wasn't reciprocated by Jamahal Hill. But it's like here, Jamahal Hill hurt his ankle in a freak accident in the same way that Yuri Prohaska hurt his shoulder in a freak accident. And he's trying to blame Jamahal Hill for it. He's trying to say like, well, if you think about it, it's kind of his fault because maybe he just got so big that human ankles can't sustain the weight.
All right, I'm gonna address this right here, right off the bat, for everybody saying, wait, first off, how much do I weigh? You have no idea how much I weigh. You have no idea how much I'm used to walking around at. None of these things, right? But we'll come and say these things. So, like I said, I had my Achilles repaired by one of the best doctors, by the best doctor in the world. Okay, and he told me there was nothing that I could do. My tendon was already bad. I had tendinosis already existing in the tendon. So it was only a matter of time before it ruptured. All right.
I don't know what tendinosis is or what it means,
What
but
are we gonna do?
It is true that Yuri doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of speculating, and it's always weird to like start speculating. You know what I mean? And you have like an intellectual get out of jail free card because you get to say that I'm just asking questions. Maybe his weight had something to do with it, right? But it's like, well, why bring that up? Maybe aliens came down and shot him in the ankle. Like, what are you talking about? Maybe anything. But you're suggesting that it's his fault. Like, why? Where did that come from?
It's something that I didn't have control of. Now, if it ruptures in a fight, in a title fight, that's a worse situation. It's a way worse situation. All right, I lose my title, I'm in rehab, and a whole lot of other things. Okay, it's just a bad thing one way or the other. And it's funny that you talk about logically, and speaking of the body, this the same guy who popped his shoulder out and then let his buddy yank on his arm to try to put it back in place and destroyed his shoulder, and did that as as the champion of the world. How is that logical or smart? But you know so much about the body and body parts and things. Come on, bro.
Yeah, that was that, and I took that like nothing changed from my last when I put the belt
Right.
to do
It all, yeah.
Right.
It all kind of comes back. But it was interesting. I thought the way you handled it said a lot about you, because for the last few months, even his last post on Twitter before the announcement that he was out was like insinuating that you were taking too long, that you were afraid, that all this nonsense. And then you say to him, I wish you the best. And then he responded to you. But like, over the last few months, a lot has been said about you, and you took the high road and wished him well. I thought was a very classy thing that you did on your part.
Hold it. I pause it right there.
Yeah.
Now, you see that? Now, he is attempting to try to give him props to up him while subliminally trying to take shots at me. All right? Trying to basically, so you thought he took the high road and that was a classy move on his part. What did I say? What did I say about him? What did I say about his injury?
Okay, I don't know. I have my ear to the ground pretty well. I don't know of anything that Jamahal Hill has said that was insinuating that Yuri is like taking more time than he needs off, or that he's scared, or anything like that, or that the injury was his fault. Nothing like that. A couple seconds ago, he said that it was a bad idea to let his friend like yank on his shoulder, but that was talking about specifically Yuri blaming him for his injury, right? Yuri blamed him, said maybe you got too fat, and he's saying, well, maybe you shouldn't have let your friend yank on your shoulder. But before that, I've never heard either of these two guys before just now say that anything was each other's fault or that anybody's scared. Like, I've seen them be like, hey, when are you going to be recovered? Hey, when are you going to be recovered? But that's different. That's assuming, like, if you say, hey, Yuri Prohaska, when are you going to be healthy so you can fight me? You're trusting Yuri to give you an answer. You know what I mean? You're not saying that he's ducking you. If he's ducking you, why ask him? He's going to buy as much time as he possibly can. But, like, he's like, no, when do I get to fight you? Like in the snow video, like whenever Yuri said, like, I'm coming, and he said, but where you at, though? And then he said, that's what she said. Like, it was clearly a joke, but it was also just a kind of response, give the fans something to talk about. He's not saying, like, you're not fighting right now with the worst shoulder of all time. Like, he understands that. So, like, I don't really know where this is coming from. I don't know why Jamahal Hill is seen by those two as not being classy. And I also don't understand why it is classy to say that Jamahal Hill's ankle is destroyed because he's fat. Like, what? It's like in the middle of Yuri Prohaska saying, like, oh, I think that he got so fat that his ankle couldn't bear the weight. Ariel immediately turns around and says, man, you're so classy, and he wasn't classy the whole time. Like, you never blamed him. It's like, you just did, like 1 minute ago. And maybe that was Ariel's way of, like, steering the conversation back to being classy, but I don't really know.
Really? Like, I got a clip. I have a clip. Now, this was the night before my injury. Hall of Fame, red carpet interview, all right, where they asked me about Yuri Prohaska and his injury.
A lot of people are waiting, probably asking you, when is Jamahal Hill going to fight again, defend the title? Any idea when that might be?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll have an answer for everybody soon. I know right now the next up from the challenge up, and the one that I want is Yuri. I want to make sure he's good, make sure he's got the time and everything that he needs. But yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to get in there. Now, I want to make sure he's good. I want to make sure he has the time that he needs. This is the day before I got hurt, before any of the relinquish of the title or anything. These are my words. So Ariel, I'ma ask you, and be a man, bro, because that seems to be a hard thing for you. Where did I say it at? Where was I disrespectful?
Okay. Now, like I said, he points to Jamahal Hill points to an interview in which he wasn't disrespectful, and then goes, "Haha, I could have been, but I wasn't." It's like, okay, there could have been a tweet somewhere or a video somewhere and an interview somewhere where Jamahal Hill was disrespectful towards Yuri Prohaska. It wasn't in this video, so it's weird to cite this as I never was, because it's just one video, you know what I mean? But at the same time, how would Jamahal Hill prove himself? If he never said anything disrespectful, how would he cite anything? Is he supposed to play like every interview he's had over the last 6 months? You know what I mean? Like, is he supposed to? I don't know. But at the end of the day, like I said, I've never seen Jamahal Hill be disrespectful. It seems like this is coming out of nowhere. I don't know.
Did I do anything ill towards him other than wish him well? And you go back and watch a number of interviews where I was asked about Yuri. And I said, I want you to make sure you take time. Ask Yuri what I said to him when I talked to him. I'm not fake. I don't have no reason to play fake or nice in nobody's face. That's not my thing. We see whose thing it is, though.
I think that's just be the normal, because everybody in this game trying to be like two gangsters, and it's all about just to stay before somebody in the cage and then fight, then show me you're the best performance you ever can do. So that's all about that, not about the speaking before. This is sometimes not stupid, but sometimes it's like trash. Yeah, trash.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Before it's all said and done, is that
so honestly, like how am I supposed to take that? How are y'all gonna take that? Because
yeah, we definitely take it as not that Jamahal Hill is trash, but that, you know, it's that Jamahal Hill is this instigator guy that's like trying to act gangster and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily see it in this video. He's definitely trying to, you know, punk Ariel Helwani for sure. And I don't think that that's a great look. I don't think it's a very fair thing to do. You know, in the very beginning and then in the very end of this video, he does go on and say, like, you know, Ariel Helwani, you couldn't beat me in a fight, which is ridiculous. It's not what we're talking about. And, I mean, you've devoted your life to becoming the best fighter you possibly can, of course. That doesn't mean anything. It's not relevant to what we're talking about. If you know, and he's saying, like, you better watch what you say because I'm going to beat you up. It's like, okay, cool, but, like, that's kind of the risk that Ariel has been taking his whole life, is that, like, I'm talking about fighters. They could take offense and they could beat me up. It is what it is. But, you know, he's probably going to, like, call the cops or sue them or something like that and make everything right that way. So, I just don't know where Yuri's coming from. But at the same time, Jamahal Hill is in this video trying to act like, you know, I'm tough and I can beat people up and I can fight people. And so don't talk about me in that way. And that's just, it's a terrible look, in my opinion.
About trying to be gangster, trying to be trash. What was the video that you made after I won the title? You supposed to be resting and recovering. Everything that I've said, the where you at though and all that, was in response to him calling me out. So you trash for calling me out, right? Why are you talking? You only supposed to just show it, right? You don't let Ariel talk you in, bring you in, and now he's got you looking like a fool like he is. Because he's salty, he gets soggy, and he doesn't care. He just tries to make points even where there is none. Champ, you better than that. Don't let him suck you in like that. It's pathetic, bro.
A fight that you would like, you versus Jamahal Hill, is that something that you would like to see happen?
Yeah. I was prepared. I was prepared especially for these style of like Jamal, and I like that. I very start to
Ooh, I like the
started
confidence that you think you
to
have.
like that, like this his style,
Well, I like
because
it
it
when you're in
was
front of me.
very simple. It was like
Simple but
to
effective.
give the power for every punch.
A lot of power in the fundamentals.
And
Yeah, man, that's
but
funny. Hey, hold up.
sim-
And that's a funny.
Yeah. If we're to talk about who wins this fight, I got a lot of takes. At the end of the day, it's Jamahal Hill. All right. Jamahal Hill has, obviously, he beat Glover better. And people are going to be like, oh, MMA math, and also that wasn't the best Glover. Whatever. Jamahal Hill has still beaten Johnny Walker. Jamahal Hill has still beaten Thiago Santos. Yuri Prohaska's best win, other than the Glover Teixeira win, which he almost lost, was against Dominic Reyes, who I love, but is on a losing streak. So, and again, yeah, it's funny to see like the spin kick, spin elbow, jumping in the air for flying knee guy say like, oh, that dude over there that just boxes and head kicks. I mean, he's not like, his style's very simple. It's like, yeah, but I mean, look at the look at the champions. A lot of the champions are very, very simple. It's rare that you see a Michel Pereira or a Yuri Prohaska. My impression is always that like people that have the best fundamentals win, and if they master the fundamentals, every once in a while they'll throw something crazy out there, sort of like Justin Gaethje being like really, really, really good at kickboxing, and then every once in a while throwing away a Rolling Thunder, or Tony Ferguson every once in a while like throwing out a Imanari roll and stuff like that. It's not like that's like their go-to plan. You know what I mean? It's like their style is like very fundamental. Their fundamentals are perfect, and then they throw some stuff out, that are crazy. And if I'm being completely honest, Yuri gets hit like a lot and hurt a lot by a lot of people, in his last 3 fights. He's been hurt, in ways that I don't know that Jamahal Hill would. So I do think this is a good angle, though. I like this trash talk. I like trash talk instead of trash talking about, and like lying about stuff, or like not necessarily lying, but like stretching the truth about stuff. I like this. I like them trash talking about each other's styles. That's what I like, because it's relevant. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about who wins in a fight. Talk about who's gonna win. Talk about your style. Oh, your style's simple. Oh yeah, well that's because you haven't even mastered the simple yet. That's what I like.
And that's a fun. Keep going.
Similar style have Pereira, yeah, but a little bit upgraded. Yeah, I have to say. It's a little bit more like there is a more logic, yeah, in his style, yeah.
So
right,
would that mean?
All right, I'm gonna have to chalk that up just to the fact that your English is really bad, because the basics. There's a lot of power in the basics, and I think a lot of people would agree that you don't have them. Which is why you do things like try to throw a spin there, a flying knee, and crazy things. People do a lot of you. If you've ever trained for a certain amount of time, anytime you've seen that somebody gets in there and they just start throwing crazy knees, that's because they're not really technically sound like that. They need something big or athletic to happen. I can beat you big athletically. I can beat you technically. I can beat you any way I want to. He don't have those options. I wouldn't expect him to understand it whenever he sees it. And Pereira being an upgrade for me, we gonna see. That's the good thing about it. We get to see. I can't wait to be back. Come on, man. Let's keep.
I was just.
Again, it's the type of trash talk I like. Trash talking the relevant thing. Trash talking like, how you fight, and oh, you're not that good, and oh, I'm that good, and stuff like that. But that's what we need to get back to, okay? But I do kind of think about all the people that do throw spin and stuff like that. Like a lot of times, they don't make it all the way to the top because, like he said, like you know, whenever you have creative attacks, you can like overload the other person's brain and make them like worried about so much stuff that they can't keep up, you know? And that's like a strategy. But sometimes people just let it rip. You know what I mean? They just let it rip. And I'm not going to say that Yuri necessarily does that, but you know, some people do. I think that like one of the cool things is like Connor, he will throw like spinning heel kicks and stuff like that at the very beginning to get you to worry about him, and then never throw them again. And then for the rest of the 25-minute fight, he does not throw the same spinning like heel kick. He doesn't throw anything crazy, but you're thinking about it because he threw it a second ago, or he throws it to make you start walking towards his left hand. But anyways,
Just going to ask you, who do you think is a tougher opponent, Alex Pereira or Jamahal Hill? Does that mean that you think Alex is a little bit tougher?
Hold up. Now you see that? Now you see that? Ask him a question. Who do you think's a tougher opponent, Alex Pereira or Jamahal Hill? Does that mean you think Alex Pereira is is tougher than Jamahal? You know what I'm saying? Throwing shade, but trying to get him to make it seem like he was just asking. Bro, that's you throwing shade, bro. Funny.
And if they called you today and said, like, can you do a camp? Can you fight October, November, December? Are you ready to start a camp? Are you cleared 100%? You can start training full contact, no issues for a camp?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Now, hey, now how hard was that? Now, talk about I've been asking all this time. Yo, are you ready? Is there a time over time? Give me something. Let me know something when you might be ready. Anything. That's all I've been asking for is an answer. But yet, it'll try to spin it as like it's a bad character flaw. Like I was talking shit or I'm a spinner. I'm just like this. But you see, he had the answer though.
Right. And
So yeah, Jamal's frustrated because he wanted to know this entire time when he could fight Yuri Prohaska. Yuri Prohaska never answered him, and then as soon as Jamahal Hill gets injured, Yuri Prohaska's like, "Today, I can fight today." You know, and to be fair, that's pretty frustrating. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. And at the same time, Jamal he's not owed an answer. You know? Yuri can just say, like, I'm not going to tell you. Dana White's going to call your phone and say that, like, one day that we're preparing for each other. And that's what you get. You know what I mean? That's strategically best for him. Why wouldn't he do that, right? So, like, I understand this, but at the same time, it's like, I understand the frustration, but also you're not, like, Jamahal Hill is not owed an answer. Yuri Prohaska can say, I'm just not going to tell you. Strategically, I'm not going to tell you. One day you're going to get a call that says we're fighting, and then you're going to have to prepare for me. I'm not going to say, oh, how about you and me fight tomorrow, like, or next year in February, you know? And so, yeah, that's it. But this is basically the whole thing, is that Ariel was a little bit disrespectful in his tone when he was speaking about Jamahal Hill. After Jamahal Hill won the belt. Jamahal Hill then goes on, and they kind of blow up at each other, but in a weirdly nice way. And then ever since then, you know, Ariel is kind of like throwing a little bit of shade here and there. And maybe Ariel is trying to hype up the fight. It's possible. Ariel's just like, you know, so you think he's easy, huh? Like, tell me more about that. And the way the MMA journalists usually do. But the question that Ariel had that was like, man, you were full of class and he just wasn't. And, you know, I expect better than Ariel, or better from Ariel rather. Maybe I'm just used to Ariel Helwani going up against people like Brendan Schaub, Paddy Pimblett, and ultimately like he is biased towards a lot of people. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you find anything in the past that was like disrespectful by either of these guys that I may have overlooked, let me know. And also, who do you think is going to be the light heavyweight champion by the end of next year, or by the time the dust settles? Who do you think is going to be champion? Also, let me know if you like this video, this kind of content, and if I should make more sort of react videos. And until next time, Take it easy.